Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. A lot of people today are self aware. They read the books, they journal, they understand their patterns, but they still don't change. So the real questions become why? Today's guest is Cecilia Baum Mandryk, an author, coach who works at the intersection of therapy, nervous system regulation, and habit change. She's the creator of the concept Post-Insight Plateau, the space where people get stuck between knowing what to do and actually doing it. Cecilia, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to have
All
this
right.
conversation. Yeah.
Okay, I'm also excited. Yeah. And heads up, we're going to be diving into your 20s a little bit.
Perfect. It was an exciting time in my life.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So take us back to your 20s. You started as a geologist working in high pressure environments. So what was your mindset like during that phase?
So, when I was in my 20s, I really believed that if I did everything that everyone told me I was supposed to do, I would be happy.
Mm,
And so if I got the job that I thought other people was a good job, and I'm using air quotes here if you're listening,
mm,
if I performed well at that job, if I kind of went down the list, I had a checklist in my head, which was entirely
mm,
created by me, that I would be happy. And I did that during my 20s. And towards the end of my 20s, I realized that I checked the boxes and I wasn't very
mm,
happy. I didn't feel very satisfied.
mm. Okay. All right. So I don't know. Should I call that people pleasing?
Mm.
Hmm.
I think a little bit of people pleasing, a little bit of perfectionism, maybe.
Hmm.
Um, I really, I think different cultures have a little bit different mentality here. In the US, there's this really big, if you do good in school, if you do well there, then you'll be set up for life. And I was great at school, but I didn't really find out what I wanted to do or what got me
Okay.
excited. And then once you spend almost a decade working in your 20s, towards the end, I kind of started to realize, oh, if I just keep doing this, I don't think it's going to suddenly make me happy, right? It's just I've been doing this thing and it has been fun because the job I had was pretty fun. I was a geologist working in oil and gas, but it wasn't fulfilling and it wasn't exciting for me as a person.
Yeah. Okay. So, I feel like what you just described is what most young adults are currently facing.
Yeah,
We
I was
have the
actually going to say that.
perfect, yeah, it's fine. We have the perfect job, right? In quotes, what people think. We have the perfect life, in quotes, what people think. But then the question remains, is it what we really want for ourselves? Right? Because that's what
Right.
society wants for us, but is it really what we want for ourselves? So that remains the question. So I would
Yeah.
like to know, how are you able to, navigate this phase of your life and come out of it?
I love what you said about the life that looks perfect because my life looked really good, right? I had this great job that like checked all the boxes that people want. Like I had vacation and I got paid well and it was interesting work. And I had a pretty good relationship with a nice person and I was living as an expat. So I'm from the US, but I was living in Europe at the time. And so like on paper everyone was like, "Wow, you must be doing so well." And but it didn't feel good. So what I started doing is I started first I noticed it, I named it, and I think maybe that's was the biggest key is to saying this thing that everybody wants for me, I don't think that's actually the thing I want. And when I named it out loud, even as simply as that, and it probably wasn't even that eloquent when I said it was probably more like, I don't like my life right now. Um, it allowed me to then ask the question, well, what do I want? Which I did not have an answer to, by the way. Like I did not magically have an answer. Um, my my 20s realization that I didn't like my life then led to about 5 years of kind of more exploration and figuring things out. But it was first asking that question or saying, I don't like it. okay, but what do I want then? If I could choose anything, if I could start over, which was terrifying, by the way. And this took me several years to actually act on. But
Mm.
that question at the beginning was, I think, really helpful for me.
Exactly. Wow. Okay, so it's important, first of all, to know that it's not easy, right? As
Not
human
easy.
beings, it's not easy. But then you need
Yeah.
to really ask that question, what do I want for myself, right? You need to ask, and after asking, you work on it, not just ask questions. Try to explore. Like I love how you use the word explore. Try to explore what you think you would love because your 20s are meant for exploring, honestly. Just
I
check out
really
what you
think so.
think.
Yeah. I
Exactly.
mean, I think actually, if I could, like, I don't know if I want to do my life over because I really like, I'm 41 now for your audience. So I'm like, you know, well out of my 20s. Um, I don't think I'd do it over because I learned so much in the exploring process. But if I could have told myself something in my early 20s, it would have been, don't lock yourself down so early. Like, use it as a time to explore, use it as a time to say, like, what does interest you? What is exciting to you? Because what your parents think and what your caregivers think and what your teachers think and professors think, they don't actually know you, right? Like, they're not living in your brain and in your heart, and they don't have that little thing that says, like, oh, I really want to work on this and I'm so excited by this thing, or really feel called to start a podcast, right? Like, they don't have that. They're not in you, so they can't tell you that. You have to figure that out yourself.
Wow. All right. So yes, thank you so much, Cecilia, for this one. I feel like I'm learning a lot already, right? And by the way, you said you're 41. You actually look like you're in your 20s, right?
Oh, I probably still look like I'm in my 20s because I took the time at the end of my 20s to figure out what I actually wanted. I think that's like the secret to
Oh,
staying
okay.
young, right? Like, you figure
All
out
right.
like what excites you. And this morning, I have three kids and they're actually home from school because we have a school break starting. And they were really upset that I had to go to work. And they're like, oh, this is like, we want you to play with us. And I was like, I love what I do. Like, I am so excited to go do the work that I'm doing. And that, I think, keeps us young and excited and engaged in life in a way that I definitely would not be if I were still working in oil and gas. I would look a lot different, I think, if I were still there.
Exactly. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, now I know what to do to keep myself younger. Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So, yes, Cecilia, I want us to, dive deep into what you're doing now. So, you talk about the post-insight plateau. Can you break that down, like simply for someone hearing it for the first time?
Yeah. And my kind of journey to figuring this out started in my 20s. So I had this realization, I don't like my life, which was a hard thing to say to myself, let alone like anybody else. And then for me, once I said that, I then had to start to figure out, what is it? So I went pretty deep into self-help and therapy, everything from, bullet journals and habit tracking to going to see a counselor to reading self-help books and listening to podcasts. And I became really aware of my patterns and, why I couldn't leave my job, which was my first kind of barrier. I wanted to leave, and it was really hard for me to leave because I didn't want to disappoint my parents, people pleasing. I didn't want to feel like I wasn't good enough, right? There were all these other things in there. And so I could see the patterns, but then I couldn't do anything about them. And I noticed this too with a lot of people around me, that we had awareness, we couldn't necessarily implement it. And I explained it like this the other day, and I think it was really helpful, is that we have a Sunday brain, and that's the planning brain. That's the awareness brain. That's the brain that says, I don't like my life. But then we have a Tuesday brain, and that's the brain that acts in the moment. And the Tuesday brain is like, we're not leaving this job. You're getting paid well. Everybody's happy that you have this job. It's a good career, right? You're not leaving it because it's the one that's in charge in the moment. And so, where I think a lot of people get stuck on this post insight plateau is between awareness and action. And they're stuck there being aware, and they don't understand, why I can't move forward. Why can't I quit my job? Why can't I go explore? Why can't I go answer the question, what do I want to do with my life? Who do I want to be? with this like one precious existence that I have, or at least this one round that I have on this earth. Um, and so my work now specifically helps people move through that.
Okay. All right. So, thinking about it, in as much as I think the first step, right, is self-awareness. To be
Mhm.
aware that you have such problems or that you need to do some certain things. And then the next step is change, right? But I feel
Yes.
like that change now can be it's in order to change, there are some factors, not just about you, but external factors. And I feel like that was what you went through. You had to consider your parents, you had to consider what other people would think. And I think it's difficult, right? Considering people. So thinking about it, I think change is a bit difficult, right?
It's so difficult, right? It goes, it's really easy to say something like, don't care what other people think. Like, that's such
Mm,
an easy thing to write on social media and say, like, I don't care what others think. But the truth is, we're humans and we grow up in families, we grow up in clans and like
mm,
groups of humans. And evolutionarily, we want to be accepted by them. We
mm,
want to be loved by we and when we're babies, and we need them. Like our the most important thing we do is attached to our caregivers so that our
mm,
caregivers take care of us so we can live. And that doesn't go away just because we're 22, right? When
mm,
we're 22, or when in my case, I was 27 and I wanted to quit my job, I was like, I just was beside myself with thinking like what my parents were going to say. And my parents are lovely human beings, but I didn't want to disappoint them. And that's because I am a human and the part of my brain that needs them to care for me and love me, that's still there. And so I think this like the part of us that so desperately wants to create the change, for me wanting to quit my job there, and the part of us that's acting in the moment just have slightly different priorities. And so yes, it is so hard to make the change. It's easy to think about it. It's fun to think about it. It's enticing to journal about what life would look like and how free you're going to be.
mm,
And then we're met with the reality of the brain that says, yes, and I have to keep you safe.
mm,
And my job and how I'm going to keep you safe, the primary way I'm going to keep you safe is to keep you doing the same thing, even if you don't like it. I'm going to prevent you from saying you want to quit your job. I'm going to keep you procrastinating. I'm going to keep you thinking about starting the podcast instead of actually starting it, right? I'm
mm,
just going to keep you where you are instead of letting you do something else because it's safer, right? And so yes, it is so hard because we're oftentimes we're working against part of ourself, and it's a really strong part. That part that wants to keep us safe is has a lot of influence in our lives.
mm. Okay, wow. All right. So thank you. Actually, I feel like you've made it more realistic, right? It's important that we understand that it's not easy, but it's possible, right? So it's not easy, but
Yeah.
it's possible. All right. So, you emphasize capacity over just awareness. So what does building capacity actually look like in real life?
Yeah. So capacity, so the awareness is, again, which the awareness is very important, right? The awareness is, I don't like my life. I'm unhappy being a geologist. And this is, you can apply this, anybody who's listening can apply it anywhere in their life, right? This is the awareness. I'm procrastinating instead of doing this thing. I have awareness now. And now what I want to try and do is bring myself when I'm in the moment and noticing, for instance, me, maybe it's writing my letter of resignation, right? Or telling people that I want to quit my job. Noticing, okay, maybe I think I'm going to have on the next phone call with my parents or Skype call, because this was back in Skype land, Skype time when I was in Europe. Um, if anybody even remembers Skype, um, I'd say, okay, on the next Skype call, I'm going to tell them I'm going to quit. And then the next Skype call would come and I would find a million other things to talk about other than like, I'm going to leave my job, telling them I'm going to leave my job. And so the capacity in the moment looks like noticing that gap. And in the moment saying, like, okay, I hear that you're afraid. I hear that you're scared, and making space for that emotion and really validating the emotion within you and regulating your nervous system, which like to use something called coherent breathing, which is just slow breathing in your nose, in and out your nose. And then saying, okay, now if I'm safe, And if I knew that I was going to be there for me, if I knew that it was okay, could I tell them?
Mm,
And so it's essentially helping that brain that's trying to protect you. It's acknowledging whatever's going on for them and it's working with them in the moment so that you can then do something different. And that's a practice, right? It's just like a muscle. If you've ever tried to like lift anything, like do like bicep curls or something, and you've never done them before, they're really, really hard the first time you do them, right? But if you
mhm.
do them 3 times a week for a year, you're going to be really good at them because you're doing
Okay.
them, right? This is the same thing. Most of us have never regulated in the moment and talked
Mm,
with our brain. And so it feels weird to do it and it feels
mm,
uncomfortable. But the more we do it, it's a skill, it's a practice. And so we can get very good at doing it in the moment. So
mm.
recognizing what's happening and working with it.
All right, okay. Yes, thank you so much for that one. All right, and like you said, it's important to recognize what is happening and then work with it. So I need you to give like talking about practice, right? For someone who feels, let's say, self-aware but stuck, what is one practical thing they can start doing immediately?
Okay. I, I, I love that you asked that because one of my main goals is to like help people do this in many ways as possible. So if
Yeah.
you notice that, and this could be, I often ask people to do it with something really small at first. Like
Mm,
leaving my job was a pretty big thing. But if you can start with something like, oh, I scroll instead of work on starting a podcast, right? Like I have this dream to start a podcast. And I noticed that instead of actually doing it in my free time, I'm on the
mm,
internet and I'm just scrolling videos or whatever, wherever my scroll of choice is. And so if I wanted to change that, if I wanted to start taking action towards creating my podcast, the next time I was scrolling, instead of working on my podcast, I would name it out loud to myself, which sounds a little silly, but I'd say I'm scrolling instead of working on the podcast. If you're around other people and you don't want to say it out loud, that's fine. Say it in your head, but it helps to actually say it, to recognize the behavior. And
mm,
then when we're in it and we're saying, okay, right now I'm scrolling because, and then get curious, why am I not working on the podcast? What feels, I'm not working on my podcast because I feel like I'm not going to do it right and people are going to laugh at me and it will be embarrassing or no one's going to listen and I'll feel like it's worthless, that I'm not very good at this. And so we say, okay, so I feel scared and I feel a little bit embarrassed, or maybe I feel a little shame around this. Like I don't know how to do it or how to start, or I don't think it's going to be very good. And I'm going to hold myself there. I'm going to say, okay, I hear that. I hear that you're scared. I hear that you feel shame right now. And take a few breaths and then ask, if I felt safe, what would I really want to be doing right now? Or if I had the next 10 minutes, how would I want to use it? So a smaller period of time, not like the next 2 hours. But if I had 10 minutes, would I want to work on the podcast if it were safe? What's one small thing I could start to do in that direction? And so what we're doing there is you're recognizing the discrepancy. So where you're not taking the action you want to take, where you are stuck,
mm,
you are regulating you're validating in the moment and regulating your nervous system. And then you're starting, when you regulate the Sunday brain, the thinking brain comes back online, it comes back to the party. With that part of your brain, you can make the decision, what do I actually want to be doing right now? How do I actually want to be spending this time? And the line, if it were safe, is a really powerful one too.
mm. It was safe. Okay. So
Yeah.
yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I just had to say it again right in my head. All right. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you, Cecilia. It's important that in as much as we've recognized the problem, it's important to know how to navigate it, right? And get the
Yes.
solution to
Yeah.
it. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And yes, I'm curious, right? I want to know what you're currently focused on or building that excites you the most right now. And
Okay. No, go ahead.
okay, all right. So I'd love to
Okay.
know.
The thing that I'm building right now is I got this message from, I'm on social media, so I put a lot of things out, primarily on Instagram, but a few other places too. Um, and somebody sent me this message that they've been following me for about 6 months and they'd been doing the things that I mentioned on there, which is exactly what we're talking about here. And
Mm,
they'd been making change in their life. And I work with people usually longer term because it takes some time to make these changes. So I work with people one on one for 6 months, or I work with people in a group for a whole year. But this person's message made me realize that I could have something different. I could have like a small thing that could help jumpstart people, could help them really start to get to do this work. And then they could do it with me in a group, or they could go do it on their own. Because really, truly, I want more people to be doing this, whether they're doing it with me or not. And so right now I'm building a short-term group, so a month, which the entire focus is, can I help people learn these skills in their life and get some wins, get some, like if I'm talking about my bicep curls, get some reps in so that they can start to do this work with themselves and for themselves, with more depth right away. So I'm building a short-term group, and it's really exciting to me, and a few other resources to go along with that to help people who maybe don't have the resources or the time or the interest in working with me for a whole year, but want to do this in their lives. And it's been very fun to work on it.
All right. Wow. Okay. I'm also excited about it actually. And I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna reach out to you, right, via Instagram, because I'm always active on Instagram too. Because I
Yeah,
would
come find me
really love
there.
to see I would love to see how this goes and everything. I'm wishing you best of luck, right? Okay,
Thank you.
so looking ahead, right, how do you see the future of, self-development evolving?
Um, I really think that this is a serious gap that hasn't been addressed. So I think that right now, and I'm thinking less your 20-year-old audience and more, my generation, 40-year-olds, but even a little bit older than me, we are a very self-aware group of people. We've been to therapy, we've been journaling, we've been told this for most of our lives, and yet most of us aren't seeing the things we want to see in our lives because of this gap, right? Because of this plateau that I identified. And so I really hope and think that the future of self-development is closing that and getting people to actually um, compassionately meet themselves in the moment so they can make the change they want to make. Because I don't think I've said this, but this work that I do is not using force, willpower, or shame. So in the moment, we're not forcing ourselves to do something. We're actually compassionately meeting ourselves and choosing to be somebody different so we can do something different.
Okay, all right, wow. Okay, so thank you so much, Cecilia. This has been amazing. And I think it's a very powerful and eye-opening conversation, right? Especially for people who are doing the right thing, but they are not still seeing changes. So thank you. And yes, it
Yeah.
brings me to the final segment of my podcast. It's called the rapid fire segment.
I've listened to this, and I intentionally did not over prepare because because I wanted to actually be able. Can I say one more thing before we do the rapid fire round?
Definitely.
If you feel like you've done all the things and you're still stuck, it's not
Mm,
you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. It's you just don't have the tools to start implementing it. And I think
mm.
that's so important to know because so many people come to me thinking that they're the problem or there's something wrong with them. And it's not. It's not you. I promise.
Okay, thank you. I think it was important to know that actually.
Yeah, I think it's a really key piece because so many of us walk around thinking like, but I'm doing everything and I must be doing it wrong or I'm broken or this just doesn't work for me. And that's at least in my professional experience working with so many people now, it's not the case. You're not broken. You just don't have the right tools yet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that one, actually. And yes, back to the rapid fire segment. Starting now, right? Awareness or action?
Oh, action,
Action. Okay. Discipline or regulation?
regulation.
Okay. One habit that creates real change.
One habit that creates real change is being able to slow down in the moment.
Slowing down. Okay. Biggest mistake in self-development.
People spend too long in the awareness circle and not enough in the action
Hmm.
building capacity circle.
All right. And finally, what is one word for growth?
What is one word for group?
For growth.
Oh, for growth. Expansion.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think you did amazing. You did amazing.
Thanks. It's so fun. I listened to it a few times and it's just so fun to hear people. So and it was very fun to do it. I think it's an amazing segment that you've created. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cecilia. All right. So, Cecilia, where can listeners get to know more about you and what you do?
So the easiest way to find me right now is on Instagram or TikTok. And I can give you I think you have my handle, but I can give it to you for sure. That's the easiest way to find me. And I tell people give enough away that you can make massive changes in your life just by following me there. And please come tell me, ask me questions in the comments. I love it. I this is like my life's work. It makes me so happy. And so the more people doing it and engaging, the more excited I am too.
All right. Wow. Okay. I just to say this one, right? I love that you love what you're doing.
Yes. Oh my
All
gosh. And as somebody in my 20s who didn't love what they were doing, I didn't think it was possible. Like I honestly
right.
didn't know it was possible. And my like 6 year wander that I did from quitting to finding this was I am so, so thankful I did that. It was uncomfortable to be in it for that long and not know where I was going to be or what I was going to do. And the payoff now is that I love my life and I love what I do. And I'm like truly wake up. Like I woke up this morning at 4 with like 3 ideas and I was like, I'm ready to go. So,
All right. Okay,
yeah,
Cecilia, thank you so much for this
yep,
segment. It was amazing. And yes, to my listeners, thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, just as it did in me, make sure to share to someone you think might need this and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episode. Thank you, Cecilia. I'm going to put your link in the show notes so it's easily accessible.
amazing. It was so lovely to have this conversation. Thank you for having me on. And thanks for everyone who listens.
All right. Thank you, Cecilia. Do have a wonderful day.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.